Hello and welcome to another happy episode of the Sights, Sounds and Voices of Goa. Now we've traversed through quite a few inroads and come to this very scenic, quiet place of Kolwale. Now yes, the show brings to you heritage homes, it brings to you sites of cultural interest, it also brings to you the voices of many people. But boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, today we bring to you a face amongst the crowd. A man who's modestly fashionable and flamboyant in his terms. He has very single-handedly shaped the fashion scene in Goa. I am right here in Kolwale, where one of our very own son of the soil has made home his home. Yes, we have come to Casa Donna Maria, the home of the wonderful Wendell Rodricks. So he's going to allow us, and we're going to be talking to him about the life and times of what maketh the man. Yes, and quite intriguingly to find out, he was a catering graduate and has turned out to be quite a popular, world-renowned fashion designer. So let's find out more about Wendell Rodricks and how his journey from the good old young boyhood days to now as a recognized fashion designer. So we pull on a string and there should be a bell ringing. And there it is. And on the other side of the door we should have Wendell. We still have the facade of the old houses and we're greeted by Wendell. Wendell, thank you. And who would this be?
This is Zeus.
Zeus. Whoa. Zeus is almost half my size, and if he jumps, he'd be full my size. Well, anyway, we are from Goa 365, Wendell. Thank you for having us over. Join us as we talk to the man and his fashion sense. Here we go. This is where you get all your inspiration from?
Well, in part. The inspiration doesn't come in a garden.
Sure, but do you spend a lot of your time?
Yeah. I spend a lot of time on this very table.
Really?
I do all my work very early in the morning.
You do? So you're most of them prefer, later down in the evening when they really, so you say the morning time is when your true sense comes to light.
Yeah, I prefer to sleep early and wake up early.
Oh, really?
In fact, before sunrise, I was up at 4 this morning, and it depends, especially on creative days, and I really...
Why don't you, so we get a better glimpse of you, Wendell. We'd start from the basics, Wendell. Donna, the name that we see outside the door, is the house is in the name of?
Well, it's the lady that I got the house from.
Okay, so
it was her, I think her mother-in-law or her grandmother-in-law who actually was called Donna Maria, and I decided to keep it because there was no way I was going to name it Casa Wendell Rodricks.
Now, get used to this because we are in the company of they have been with you for a while, right? Because they what are their names, Wendell?
Well, they are all
I've got some
names.
Of them. There's Zayas, there is Zanzibar,
Napoleon, and Eva. Eva. And they're all behaving very badly.
So your good old childhood days were in Kolwale?
No, actually I'm a Gaunkar of Kolwale, and my father brought us here every I think twice a year. During the summer months as well as during Diwali
So
holidays.
where would you be coming from?
I was born in Bombay actually. I was born in Bombay, and then I spent all my school years in Bombay as well. Then I went to the Middle East after I did a course in hotel management.
Yeah, I've been doing a little bit of reading, Wendell, and quite interesting to find that just not a little bit, you were a graduate in, is that true? Were you like, was there a different choice of career at that time and then you decided to take a career
Actually,
shift?
I think there was a lack of a fashion design career because it wasn't really, at that time you could either do a fine arts course, which meant Jahangir art, or Jahangir art college, or you could go to, I mean, if you wanted to learn clothing, you just have to go to a regular course. Which actually taught how people how to stitch. And I didn't want to do any of those. I just thought the next most glamorous profession at that time, I'm talking of way back, 77, was catering. I mean, there were these 5-star hotels just opening up in Bombay, and I said, why not, take this? It gave me actually, in hindsight and retrospect, it gave me the insight of what people wore, diverse kinds of people wore, diverse nationalities, and of course it was very elitist. I mean, 5 stars, and my next job as a designer dealt with the same people. I mean, they went to those expensive places to wear their clothes and to eat, and then it kind of helped me understand what I could do with that knowledge.
So Wendell, with your whole catering background, what's your culinary skills like? Did you manage to gather a lot?
Culinary skills? I can't be immodest and say it's bad. That will reflect badly on my alma mater. No, they're very good. Actually, I can cook. I can cook quite well. I can handle a menu quite easily for up to 100 people.
And what would this be? Continental or?
Well, all types, because I mean, I came from a catering background. I lived in France, and I lived in Los Angeles and Istanbul, and all those places added to the repertoire of what I can do. I don't think I could sustain, well, I can't plan a whole Goan menu, which my staff will help out, but if I was cooking, I'd make a mix.
So, when was that one single moment that you would say changed and decided that Wendell should now, from donning an apron and being behind a nice little pan of hot oil, be behind fabric?
I was never behind a pan, actually.
A pan of hot oil?
No, when I graduated from hotel management school, I got a job as a management trainee.
Okay.
In Centaur Hotel in Bombay.
So not typically a chef is what you were heading for?
No, not at all. I didn't even go in the kitchen except for to do cost controlling.
All right then.
But yeah, I did go through a kind of a program where I went through all the kitchens and all the restaurants and the back end, and no, it was an administrative and managerial position that I was being trained for. And then when I went to the Middle East, I worked for the Royal Oman Police in Muscat.
You did? Okay.
For 4 years. Again, I was assistant director of the Royal Oman Police Officers Club, which is a very elitist. It's like the equivalent of Chambers is to Bombay. I mean, we had the members of the club included all the highest ranking officers of the police, the armed forces, His Majesty himself, Sultan Qaboos, and members of the royal family. So it was a tightrope walking job because everyone was VIP.
I'm sure it would let the pocket jingle then.
It let the pocket jingle. I think the pocket was jingling for a reason, because I knew I had to get out of there. And after I had finished my family obligations, in the sense I had 3 brothers after me, so they had to go through school and college. And then after I did, the first 2 years of money went there, but the second 2 years went to creating a kind of a corpus that I could educate myself in fashion.
Which brings me to a question, or rather an observation, and through my, I'd say intricate research, that's where you did meet a person who would become a partner, a friend for a long time, right? And
actually, I met Jerome not in Oman, yeah.
Not in Oman.
No, in Oman.
You met him in Oman, exactly. So from then on started this very close bond, and it's really worth mentioning because a bigger part of your life would be directed with this relationship, isn't it?
Well, I think on a personal level, yes, it's very important. But I think on a professional level, I always kind of kept that distinct, though never hidden. I was not, shy about it, and I was not worried about it. In fact, it would be hypocritical to do anything else and act any other way. That would not be the real me, because I'm very truthful with myself. No, but I think much later, after I studied in Los Angeles and went to Paris and did higher studies and came back to India and established my label. It was only after I established my label, because we set my label out in about 89 and 91 in particular. When I moved to Goa in 93, I kind of figured that there was this market that I could attract.
Okay.
It was very, very new at that time. I mean, high fashion was supposed to be brightly colored silk
Sorry,
with embroidery.
before I lose a strain of thought that was in a question, I did ask you that single moment where you decided to say that I've had enough of the catering, and when did that
happen?
juncture, and how did it happen?
Well, I think it was always waiting to happen.
Okay.
It was always waiting to happen. I always, from the time I was very young, I drew very well, and I would keep drawing, designs. I would design for my cousin Crystal, who lives now in the next village in Kamurli, and I would basically help them out with. It was just not only about the clothes. I would help people out with dressing a table or doing up a house or redo their interiors and stuff like that. And I knew that at some stage this artistic talent had to come into the mainstream of my profession. So it was at the back of my mind, but the actual moment was I maintained a sketchbook. And in that sketchbook, because I had to do late nights at the club, I would draw in the night when I was just waiting for the last bus flies to go home. And one day a lady walked into my office to make a telephone call, and she was an American, and she said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Well, I'm just sketching." And she said, "Can I see?" And I said, "Sure." And she had a look and she said, "This is very good. Why don't you go to America and study fashion professionally?" And actually Susie Schaefer did put the seed of hope, because it was the first time an international person was looking at my work.
So would this sketchbook be handy accessible, or
Would it be? No,
it's not.
I don't have any of those sketches. Though I must say that when I went to college, I almost there were so many sketches that I almost threw them all in a bin in Los Angeles. And Jerome said, "No, we can't, because this is going to be classified as art later."
You bet.
And then we saved it, and I went to. As I said, I went to Los Angeles, I came to India. I became famous very quickly. They were at that time looking for people like me to make into stars, because we were the first ones, Shah Abdurazi, myself, Sunit Verma, who came in with a foreign education in fashion. I mean, properly, professionally trained.
So would you say good luck and being at the right place at the right time?
Right place, right time, luck, talent, and a lot of hard work.
I'm sure.
It was not easy. It was the early years. I mean, we didn't even know how to do shows. Models had to do their own makeup. They were paid, I think, something ridiculous like 2,000 rupees a show compared to the 35,000 or 50,000 they can get now. It was all very, very nascent, but we had a great time, and I think that pioneering, those pioneering steps just never left the psyche of the public as well. They just knew that we were going to be the next big talent in the country.
The guru of minimalism, what's this all about? I know you are tagged as would this concept of less is more is something that you imbibe on your...
I don't know when that developed, but I know how it developed. I can't remember the exact year that they began. The press began to use it, but
the guru of minimalism. It's quite a title.
I kind of shuddered when I first heard the name. No, it happened very naturally after I moved to Goa. In '93, I moved to Goa. In '95, Jerome took over the business part of our marketing and accounts and whatever, and I was left free to actually develop a style for Goa.
Excellent.
And have this Goan philosophy behind the clothes. I had to put when I showed my portfolio at Yves Saint Laurent in Paris, this lady told me, she said, "It's a fantastic portfolio, but we don't see anything of your country in the sketches." So I said, we just have to. I was ashamed, and I said, I'm going to put that in my
So which brings us to
garments.
The next question. What is the Goan philosophy then, Wendell, for a layman?
When I first came to Goa, I did clothes using natural fabrics and natural dyes, and we started eco-friendly before the word was invented, without unconsciously or consciously doing anything. It just happened. Goa was the inspiration. I also realized if I was going to put my state on the map, international map, I was not worried just about India. It had to fall into some kind of a category of flavor. So I had to somehow put abstract things. This was the difficult part
And
of
it
my
had
design.
to have its signature of its own, isn't it?
It had to create its own signature and its own icons. I mean, I had to put the sea breeze, I had to put the rivers of Goa, the peaceful, sossegado, laid-back quality of the land. I had to put all those things into, how does one translate that? It was very difficult. Very difficult to try. It's not something tangible. It's not like somebody's giving you a physical leaf and say, okay, design a collection on this leaf. These were abstract ideas. It was very difficult. But I managed to crack it. We kind of put it down slowly, a little at a time. And very soon we realized that the Wendell Rodricks rack was the only rack in the country that was the white, the natural, the eco-friendly, the minimal rack. Because
And more
everything
important,
else, wearable, and everything else was very brightly colored silk with embroidery. Sure. And I thought it was very important to hold on to that philosophy and nurture it and make it grow, because it made me realize what I didn't want to do. I did not want to do the brightly colored silk.
Okay.
I did not want to do the embroidery. I wanted to create a Goan idiom in fashion.
Which, again, it's not something that developed, hey, get up one morning and I am a fashion designer. You have studied Goan costume, the Goan, what should I call it, fashion style for 3 years, I would believe, in Lisbon or something?
No. That came much later. Mario Cabral was writing a book, I think, and Mario Miranda told him, why don't you tell Wendell to write on the Panbaju, which is the garment they wear to dance the Mando. I'd never heard of it, frankly. I'd heard of it vaguely. So I went and started doing some research, and then I put in this paper to Mario Cabral, and the book never got published, but it set me off on a wonderful journey, and we are at the end of it all now. I think I started doing the research in 2000.
Okay.
And I went to Lisbon, and I didn't know about museums, I didn't know about clothing in museums. I did 3 months at the National Costume in London.
That's
in Lisbon, sorry.
Lisbon,
and then I did 3 months at the museum at FIT in New York.
Okay.
And that's when that other area, but that was always on the side. It was not running, it was running parallel to what I was doing in fashion.
Okay. Well, you're viewing the sights, sounds and voices of Goa. What make it a man? What make it a fashion designer? That's what we are aiming to find out through this episode. Join us after a short break while we can walk the talk with Wendell Rodricks. You're watching Goa 365 and this is the sights, sounds and voices of Goa.